Hey guys, it's Jenny. So today we're gonna work on a rock portrait. This is actually a special project because the person I'm painting is somebody I know personally. So I know with AMSA we like to make cards and give personal gifts. I really enjoy giving people rock paintings. Sometimes I put a portrait of them on them, or I'll put a pet or something sentimental and special. And the point of this video is to show you the potential that a rock painting has. You can go really far with them. They can be really, really simple. As simple as putting a ladybug on a rock and sticking it in your garden, or you can do things that are, a little more complex or way more detailed. So the sky's the limit with these. Before I get started, I'll show you a few examples of things I've done in the past. So right here, this is a sketch here of a lady. Show you an elephant here that I've done in the past. It's a bit of a simpler one, and it has a resin coating on it. So it's kind of a cute little thing that you can put inside a plant pot. And I have one here of a jungle cat, which I love doing. I like doing like all sorts of wild cats. I think I've mentioned that before. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. And today we're actually working on a portrait. So to start, this is our paint palette that we're using for now. This video will be done in parts as it'll take a while. And this is mainly what we're trying to achieve today is the skin tone and just getting the general outline of the face. So got a few shades of peach here. This one is a parchment, white, and then that's a dark brown there. So let's get started. And you guys can follow along with me, or else you can do something simpler. You can do anything. Just basically follow the process. So I'm going to get started here. What I'm going to start with today is an outline, which I think I've done that in the past as well. And the outline is just so we have a little bit of clarity when we do our work later. So I have a very skinny brush, and I have a bigger, fatter brush too, where sometimes I'm going to need to buff out my paint. So I'm just outlining the face here. Creating a little space for myself. You'll notice the sun today's a bit of a cloudy day, so the sun is coming and going as we're doing this painting. You might notice little differences in the hues of light that we're getting. I just want to define where I'm going to be seeing my nose. And all of this is basically to give us placeholders. We always want to know where things are sitting. The accuracy of a portrait is usually contingent on placement. Just a few things there. Help us have some guidelines. And this part is tedious, so bear with me, guys. You'd laugh if you see the mess that I'm making over here. Other thing with painting is getting organized, which sometimes I can find pretty challenging. So as I've done in the past, I use a range of paints, and I think I've mentioned before, dollar store paints work awesome on rock paintings. So they have good, they're not very thick. Gives you a lot of room to move around on the rock, on its surface. Excuse me. Alright, so let's just go down. I'm just going to make a place for the eyebrows. Placeholder, I should say. Because I just want to know where things are going to be sitting when we paint this. Put those eyebrows in. And I'm also going to just create a bit of outline for where my eyes are going to sit. And we can define this out later. This person's eye is actually going to be quite covered a little bit on one side, but it's fine. And you know, doing this actually, getting these things in the right place just takes practice. You know, it used to take me forever, and now I'm a lot better at it. Not perfect, but it's come a long way through practicing. And she has a bit of a smile on her face, which we're not going to see at the moment, but we're just trying to get the outline of the mouth. And you know, the shape might change up a little bit later, which is fine. But at least we got our outline happening there. So, yay for us. This is always the most tedious part that I personally find when painting. Once I'm out of this part, I am so happy, and I'm just in a state of flow, if you want to call it that, or concentration, where I'm just really enjoying what I'm doing, because I don't have to be overly intentional, like when I'm trying to figure out this part. I don't know how it is for you guys, but it's usually how it goes for me. Okay, so I'm going to give that a little rest, and now we're just going to put in the base skin color. So the first thing I like to do is I'm just going to put down a solid color. So this face at the beginning is going to look very, I don't know, one-dimensional. And that's fine, because you're going to see it go through a whole evolution. So this is kind of experimental. We're just figuring out what colors work. And I'm fine with this for the most part as a base color. And perhaps I should move my paint palette a little bit closer, then you guys can see what I'm doing with mixing the colors here. I don't know if you can see, but I basically mixed this one and this one together just for our base color. So my objective in this stage is just to get down a good undercoating of paint. This is like the base coat, basically. And we layer the image over top of this. So I really like to get a good base going down here. And I will work around those lines, which I did here in step 1. So I can see them. And if I do paint over them, it's not a big deal, but it's just less work if I don't. And you know, you're gonna find with rocks, there's different textures. So this one is not the smoothest rock, but not the roughest rock either. Which I personally actually like, because sometimes when they're too smooth, it takes layers and layers and layers of paint before you can get a base coat down that looks consistent. And because this one is a little bit rough, but not too rough, it's actually taking the paint quite nicely, which I'm happy about, because it should save us some time. And again, I always encourage, take your time with painting. Unless you promise to give somebody something in like 1 hour. I always encourage, take your time with it, and it's not about rushing or being the quickest person. It's about getting better at what you do, and most of all, enjoying what you do. So I find if I rush myself, I stress myself out, and I don't like doing that. So I really take my time with these things, and I just enjoy the process. It makes me happy. So as you can see, I'm just painting around my outline there. Some more room for the eyeball. And you'll notice in many of my paintings I've done already, I like to do details like the eyes and the mouth and all that last, and there's really no rule for that. I guess I do it because I just enjoy I enjoy what those aspects bring at the end of a painting. It's kind of like, you know, when you're eating your meal and you save the best for last. That's kind of what I'm doing when I save the bulk of the work with eyeballs and all that, eyeballs and mouth, to the end, because I just find it's like, just brings that extra level of pop to the end when the painting is done. So not something I start out with, but something I do later on as we progress. So there we go. It's probably looking pretty funny right now, but that's how all these things start out very funny looking. Okay. So now that we've gotten to this point, I'll take a look at my painting again here, where I'm at so far, and I've realized I've kind of covered up a part of my nose outline, so I'm just gonna stick it back in there. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my brown. I don't want too much, and I'm just gonna sort of, got my finger in there a little bit. Just give myself an idea again of where things are sitting. Okay. And with this stage, I really like to let things dry. Acrylic paint doesn't take too long, but I do find if you allow this to sit for a while and dry really well, when you go in and you start doing your next layers of paint, the image will turn out, the paint actually like just sits on top of the dried paint so much better, and your image will turn out much nicer without you having to like worry about paint moving around too much. So for this part, I'm just going to outline the rest of my hair. My hair, I should say my friend's hair, but I guess it's my painting at the moment. So, yeah. Just taking more of my brown. And putting in, again, placeholders. Some very defining features on people is how their hair parts, in what direction it parts, how lifted their hair is in certain places, how thick their hair is. So capturing all that is actually pretty important in a portrait. Sometimes when I make a mistake, I just scratch away the paint a little bit, and I'll just keep going with that outline. And when we define that hair in this painting later on, that's where these sort of guidelines will really pay off. And you'll notice this brown paint here. I put a lot of water in it because it's not my usual dollar store paint that I love to use. So it's a little thick, which makes it a little annoying to paint on a rock with. So when you water it down, much easier. You'll see that the paint just kind of glides on. So a few more of those little ripples in the hair. Okay guys, so this is where I'm going to stop for this one, because I really want that base coat of paint on the face to dry. So I'm going to just lift this up a little higher for you guys to get a good look at what's happening here. So like I said, regardless of what you guys do, whether it's a flower or a ladybug or an animal or a person, the steps you want to follow is you want to sketch, do a light sketch on your rock, and then you want to lay down your base coat after you have your placeholders of whatever your image is. And then once you put that base coat down, give it a few hours to dry. I know acrylic takes usually minutes, but with these rock paintings, like giving it a few hours pays off, and those next few layers that we'll put on will actually go on really nicely. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.